If you've been scrolling through endless lists of electric guitars, watching YouTubers compare tones, and still feel stuck between a sleek Strat-type and a chunky Les Paul style, you're not alone. The market is flooded with options that look great on a shelf but can end up collecting dust if they don't fit your actual playing routine. That's why I'm doing a deep dive on the Ibanez premium AZ24P1QM in Deep Ocean Blonde, a guitar that's been marketed as a versatile, mid-range workhorse. But the question is whether it really lives up to that promise for everyday players. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the thing that makes the AZ24P1QM stand out from the crowd isn't just the ocean blue finish, it's the combination of a roasted maple fingerboard, a basswood body, and an HSS pickup layout with a Gotoh tremolo. Those ingredients together shape the way the instrument feels in a rehearsal room, on a small club stage, or when you're just jamming at home. I spent a few weeks testing it in 3 different scenarios: a bedroom practice session, a live gig at a local coffee shop, and a quick run-through in a modest home studio. Here's what I noticed. When you first hold the guitar, the basswood body is noticeably light. It's not a slab of mahogany that drags you down after an hour of playing. Instead, you can swing it around comfortably, which is a real advantage if you're hopping between gigs or lugging a case on a bus. The lightness also means the resonance is a bit tighter. You get a clear, articulate attack on clean chords, but you won't hear that massive, booming low end you might expect from a heavier wood. For most rhythm players who stay in the mid-range, that's actually a plus because you get definition without the muddy feel. The roasted maple fingerboard is the next piece of the puzzle. Ibanez roasts the wood at high temperatures, which reduces moisture content and makes the fretboard less prone to warping over time. In practical terms, I noticed the notes stayed in tune even after a sweaty set in the coffee shop, and the feel was consistently smooth. The maple surface gives a brighter attack than a typical rosewood board, so when you're playing fast blues licks or articulate funk chords, each note snaps into place. If you're after a darker, more vintage tone, you might miss the warmth that a rosewood fingerboard naturally provides, but for styles that rely on clarity, the roasted maple is a solid win. Now let's talk about the pickup configuration: 2 single coils paired with a humbucker at the bridge. This HSS setup is the heart of the AZ24's versatility. In a clean setting, pulling the bridge humbucker gives you a thicker, slightly more rounded tone that works well for indie pop or jangly rhythm work. Flip the selector to the middle single coil and you get a classic Strat-style sparkle that shines through on clean arpeggios or surf-flavored leads. The next single coil is surprisingly warm for a coil of its type, thanks to the maple neck's brightness being tempered by the basswood body's resonance. In a light overdrive setting, the humbucker still retains enough definition to let you hear each pick attack, which is useful for modern rock or soft metal passages. However, if you're chasing high-gain, screaming leads, the humbucker's output feels a bit restrained compared to a dedicated high-output metal pickup. It won't burn up the amp, but you'll need to crank the amp or add a boost pedal to get that saturated tone. The Gotoh tremolo is another practical piece of the story. Gotoh is known for smooth pivots and reliable return-to-zero action, and this model lives up to that reputation. When I did a few dive bomb tricks during a live set, the tremolo settled back quickly without any noticeable pitch wobble. The bridge also stays stable enough that after a few weeks of regular use, the strings held intonation fairly well. The trade-off is that, like most floating tremolos, you'll have to spend a bit of time setting up the spring tension and fine-tuning the block height if you want perfect tuning stability with heavy whammy usage. If you're a player who never touches the tremolo, you might not appreciate the extra setup time, but for those who like to add subtle vibrato or occasional dive bombs, the Gotoh feels like a genuine asset. Who should consider buying the AZ24P1QM? If you're an intermediate player who already knows the basics of tone shaping and you want a guitar that can cover clean jazz chords, bluesy bends, and light rock crunch without swapping instruments, this one fits the bill. The aesthetic is also a selling point. The deep ocean blonde finish catches the eye on stage, and the subtle pearl-like sparkle doesn't scream for attention, making it suitable for both casual gigs and more serious performances. The price point places it in the premium entry tier, So if you're looking to upgrade from a beginner's guitar but aren't ready to drop several $1,000s on a boutique model, this is a logical middle ground. On